Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the S.T.E.M Files on OMSTV, live via YouTube. I'm your host, Terrika Muhammad, Chairman and Chief Science Officer of Original Man Scientific. I'm joined by my host, Jabril.
Peace and blessings, everyone. Jabril Muhammad, aka Jabrilliant Engineer. Happy to be here. Before we go any further, I got to tell y'all to power smash that like button and subscribe to OMSTV on YouTube. Also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at OMANSci_. That's at OMANSCI_. Very happy to be here. Happy to for the guests that we have, and excited to get it started.
All right. So today's guest is very special. She's actually a member of the board of directors for Original Man Scientific. So we've been working with our guest for about, how long has it been? Maybe 2 years now. 3 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a while. I've definitely enjoyed the time we've had working with sis. But our guest is Terrika Muhammad, aka the TechQueen. I'm going to let her take it over and kind of go into what she does and what she plans to build with her new brand.
Okay, so first, like they said, my name is Terrika Muhammad. I am a member of the Nation of Islam along with my brothers, and I've been working with them for a good 2 years, if not more.
Right.
We've been working for a little minute. Currently, I am working as a QA engineer at Spectrum or Charter Communications. It's like a combination because we bought out Time Warner and Bright House. So it's like a combination of everything. I work there. I've been there for about 5 months now, something like that. And then aside from that, I serve on the board of directors for Original Man Scientific, also with the Ministry of Science and Technology. And I also serve on the Nations Development Team, where we are basically doing our websites and helping with the different events that we have during the year. So I do that. And then, of course, I have my own thing that I do on the side where I'm trying to make bigger, and it's called TechQueen. And currently, we are under construction because I wanted to do something a little different with TechQueen and make it more of instead of like a tech company, I want it to be more of a brand so that other things can come from under it. And so that's what I'm doing right now to see if I can partner with other people and what else do I want to come from under that brand, because I wanted to kind of coincide with what I'm passionate about with helping people as well. But at the very moment, what we specialize in is website development, design, and social media management. And then other tech stuff that may come around. So that's pretty much a synopsis about me.
Great. So what was your initial introduction to technology, and why has it been your choice to pursue for the remaining of your life?
Okay, so I'm going to say my first introduction to technology was in the media realm of things, and that's when I was like, "Oh, I like this," and I never knew there was so many things that come with the technology under the technology umbrella. So I was, let me see, in my mosque number 55. Well, it's not my mosque anymore because I relocated, but mosque number 55 in Memphis, Tennessee. One of my uncles, my dad's best friend, allowed me to join our tech staff. And there we got the webcast up, we have the telethons, and every Sunday, and it has involved, we would record our Minister Anthony from Memphis, Tennessee. We would record him, then he started incorporating like PowerPoints. So we would like sync the PowerPoints up with the DVD so people can purchase, and people will always come purchase the DVDs after the lecture. So it was manual, so we had to like listen and press the button to sync it up. So that was my first introduction, and I absolutely loved it. And so then I went to college. I graduated early, so I didn't have I graduated from high school early. I didn't really have a really great idea of what I wanted to do for college, because me graduating early from high school wasn't planned. I was in high school one day and I'm like, I don't want to do another year. So I'm going to figure out how to get out of high school. And I did. And so when I went to college, I was like, I have no idea. I went to the first college that accepted me. It was a Christian liberal arts college, Christian university, and it was a couple minutes from my house. Really great school. It was a private university. And I got there and I'm just like, I have no idea what I wanted to do. And so my dad actually was like, well, try, I think electrical engineering. I believe that's where I began. And because he wanted me to do something, practical. My dad is an English major. He has his master's in English, but he wanted me to like do something that I can gain some skills and give back to the nation. That was my dad thing all the while growing up, like do something that you can create something and you can give back.
Right.
And so I got introduced to electrical engineering, and I didn't love it, but at the same time, it could have been my environment, because when you're in college, sometimes it matters who you're in school with and the kind of friends. And in my class, I was like the only girl, so I feel like I didn't have that support system as well. So I changed my major a couple times to like electrical engineering. I think I went to engineering management. I went to natural science. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's still like the same dynamic. So during that time, I had started taking coding class. At that point, I was doing C#, maybe C++, one of those. But that was absolutely fun to me, because I was just like, I'm creating these numbers and letters and stuff like that, and it's creating something. And I thought that was just so amazing that this was the back end of a computer. This is how everything that's technology operating in our lives.
Right.
This is how it's operated. So I absolutely love that, and I never forgot that class. So when I went to natural science, I'm like, no, I know I still want to be in that realm of things. So I ended up transferring from Christian Brothers University, and I went to Lemoyne College. That's where I graduated from. And it's a small HBCU here in Memphis, Tennessee. So again, still around my house, still around my parents. And when I got there, I had the choice between computer science and IT. And I ended up going with information technology, because I think it was like these two classes that would have kept me like another year and a half. And I was like, I'm not doing that. But I did pick up computer science classes. So I have my coursework includes a lot of computer science, but my degree is in information technology, because I didn't take, I don't want to do physics, I believe it was, or in a lab, because I did it at Christian Brothers, but it didn't transfer over. So that was my introduction to technology.
Got it. Jabril?
So I guess going back to TechQueen and everything, and you mentioned the concept talking about kind of trying to restructure, really be more aligned with kind of your dreams and aspirations of what you really want to do. Could you talk about the concept of kind of wanting to kind of go from a pure tech company to really that concept of like a brand and bringing things underneath? Can you kind of speak to kind of what you mean a little bit more?
Okay, so just a little backdrop first. So, of course, I've been doing websites for a little while now, but you always have your skills, but then you feel like your purpose, what God wants you to focus on. And I've constantly been like, how can I combine the two? And so I've been wrestling with it for a very long time. Like, I want to do this, but I want to do that. So and you still have life, how can I combine the two? And so I was thinking about the name TechQueen that I came up with it with my mother. And I know it has the tech there, but then it has the queen. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna brand this. And I don't want to speak too much of what I'm gonna do with it. Let me think. Or I can. So one of my passions is women empowerment.
Right.
Queen. I feel like, women should represent themselves as a queen. So under that umbrella, I'm thinking about coming up, and this was inspired by one of my friends, doing a inspirational kind of app which still is the tech queen. You know, I can still have the queen aspect in the tech umbrella where I'm contributing technology, but inspiration and empowerment. So that's why I wanted it to be more of a brand. And then also it makes it easier if later on down the line, I want it to be more than me. I want a, you know, a team. And so it doesn't even necessarily have to be them under TechQueen. We can just other brands coming under it, you know. So that's where that came from.
So like, I guess I'm thinking in terms of a product, like I guess your name on things like apparel, on like as like a sponsor for things and like events, initiatives, stuff like that, and like kind of being a very like amorphous type thing where you can kind of just attach the names to different things and kind of help build other things up versus like having a specific niche in technology or service that you get. Okay.
Yeah. Right. So I can, you know, you can do, like you just said, do more. And it's not just TechQueen websites, because I want it to be more than that. And I know that it can be. And so that's what I'm working on now.
Okay. So I guess you mentioned you wanting a team, and you know, as you know, we can all attest from working with OMS and working with the ministry and everything, the team is very important. And when I guess all thought patterns and things don't align, or people don't always seem to have the same focus, you know, it may not always work the best. So how have you moved to try to bring your team together? What are some of these skill sets and personality types you look for, and how is that working out for you?
Okay, so it's funny you asked that. I was just talking to my husband about that, like having a team of people that's like-minded, because eventually you can just be on totally different planes. How I've gone about that is looking for people, I would say that's like me. You know, I want people with, you know, morals, and not necessarily in the nation of Islam, because you know we have friends in our walks of life.
That's right.
So people that's focused, you know, that's goal oriented. Those are like some of the main things. I just want people with focus, that have plans for themselves, that want more out of life. People who want to see this world evolve, and technology wise, and just, you know, morally, because that's like one of my big things. I know that we can evolve as a people. And so I want those kind of people around me that sees like we can be better and we can have more. So those are the kind of people that, you know, I'm looking to work with, like you guys.
Oh, thank you to a lot. Awesome. Tariq?
Yeah, well, I thank you for that, because that was actually my next question, and just as it relates to teams. But one thing I was curious about when it comes to TechQueen, do you want brands that are similar to yours under your brand, or can it be more than just tech? Can it be like architecture, chemistry? Like, does it really matter?
For me, in the STEM
environment,
the STEM. Well, I'm actually gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna say STEM. Yeah, because so many things come under it. You have so many areas. So,
and that's another question I had. When it comes to STEM, you know, a lot of people automatically go to computers or things related to computers or information technology. Why do you think that misconception is there, and what can we do to help people see the general population see that STEM is a large spectrum of sciences and tech and engineering and different things like that?
So the first question you asked is, why do people have that misconception? I think it's because, I guess, technology dominates, you know, media, the world, and so they just get more attention on social media platforms, TV, school. You know, it has become like a major thing to people to donate money for computers and coding classes and things of that nature. So it's just that the exposure that people in different places give to technology. People think that technology is the only thing that comes under the STEM area. And what can we do differently? I think we should utilize social media to basically, if you're in biomedical science, or you're a doctor, you're a CAD designer, for you to use social media. Right now, I know that, people have their doubts about social media, but use the platforms that we have to make people aware, especially the youth, because children do not know a lot of these things exist. Most children want to be just a doctor, basketball player. They don't even know you can be an aerospace engineer. You can be a scientist. You can be all kinds of stuff, and there's no exposure. So also another thing I think can be done, the people that are already there in those different professions, to teach, go out and be open to be mentors, because I know when even at Christian Brothers, you didn't have just electrical engineer, you had mechanical engineering, you had civil engineering. That's when it comes to buildings and stuff like that. That is STEM. That's So I just think those people that are in those professions should, not look at people as like competition. It's room in the world for all of us, and open the door, have internships, because most people in college struggle to find internships. Yeah. Most people just want to get the experience. They want to shadow. They want to see if that is what they really want to do. So just being a mentor, being willing to have that open door to let people know that these areas are open for you. Let's fill these gaps and, get people involved.
Great. And that's a very important thing too, when you're talking about making sure that those who are graduating with STEM degrees are able to immediately get into the industry that they study. What are some ways that you plan on, when it comes to TechQueen, do you plan on using it to assist with that, or is it just going to be branding?
No, I definitely plan to. I know I told you this maybe a year or so ago. I want to start a nonprofit, and that still haven't left my mind, where children will be able to come after school, and I want to be able to partner with scientists, doctors, so children will be able to get not only tutoring, mentoring, but they can see and get presentations and stuff from different professionals. So I want that to be my contribution, and that's another thing that I'm working on outside of work. When you're having to go to work 40 hours a week, that takes away. But I'm trying to set up more of TechQueen right now, so that I can ease off the job and do what I want to do and give what I really want to give. And that's one of the ways that I would contribute.
Beautiful. Jabril?
That's what we trying to do too. But to the point about a couple of questions. So the first thing is, you talked about the concept of why do we think that people look at STEM in a certain light, and we mentioned the concept of school. And one thing that I think I wanted to add to that is, a lot of times people's first introduction to STEM is through the sometimes inorganic, environment of school. So one thing I want to point to is, in Islam, we're taught that Islam is mathematics and mathematics is Islam. Furthermore, we're taught that Islam is not a religion, it's a way of life. So combining the two equations, we get that mathematics is Islam, Islam is a way of life, so mathematics is a way of life. So how can, people, particularly as it pertains to youth or just people in general, be geared more towards understanding STEM through the lens of their way of life and everyday living? And being more organic in their approach to that?
Can you ask that question again?
All right. So it was, I knew I built it up a little bit. All right. So basically, a lot of people's framing of what they want to be, what they want to do, comes through the general school system. But a lot of times, I've seen some of people's greatest discoveries or like inspiration when it comes to science is through everyday experiences. So how can we be better about getting people to see science from everything around them and from an everyday lens versus just the academic or school lens?
Okay. One way that I can think of off the top of my head, especially being in the technology realm, is maybe, I'm just going to speak from, being in the MIS. Maybe coming up with implementing different systems in the MIS, create, something creative. That's what attracts people attention. They're like, wow, what is that? How did that happen? Taking our ideas, because sometimes we have ideas and we want to present it to like people that are in high places. How about taking some of those ideas, having science fairs in the community? So when people are going about the day, you have like different weekend events, taking some of that time on a weekend and hosting things like that to expose people to, if you created a game or the volcano and in science fairs, taken those science fairs outside of the school and into the community and inviting the community there, because people usually want to get out the house on a weekend. And I'm sure that if that kind of stuff was done, people will come, they will want to see it. So that's one of the things that comes to my mind.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So going more so into, so you work in QA, and I guess for our listeners and everything, can you go a bit more into what QA is and how you've utilized the skills?
Okay, so QA is quality assurance. Basically, quality assurance, making sure the product that we are implementing is fully functional for our end users. We are there to make sure the customer is satisfied. So that's just like a basic level of being a QA engineer. So I gain so many skills when I'm doing, in that position, because you are using like your brain. You have to be able to multitask. You're doing documentation, so you have to be organized. Still have that technical kind of knowledge as well. Because when I got into that role, it wasn't like a layout like this is what you do. It was like five bullet points, and I was like, okay, that's all I have to know. But when I got into it, I'm like, oh wow. So I'm always constantly having to learn stuff. But basically, I'm being investigative. I have to analyze. I have to. I'm trying to break the system. Basically, as a QA engineer, I want to figure out how I can break it so it wouldn't happen when the product is launched. So the product that we're working on, I'm on the IT service activation team there. So we're working, it's just like a small area because telecommunication is humongous.
Right.
And we're working on that back end of when that order comes through billing, through our billing system, we are fixing that service activation part for when the tech comes to your house, or when you self-install. We're working on that end of things with as a QA engineer.
Bro, you there? You good?
Yeah, I think I missed the whole answer, but it's okay. It's all right. No, we good though, Tariq? Everything good?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right, no problem. You can continue though. I'll go back in.
Should I say it again?
No. If you don't mind, I know you just answered. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I was talking about what a QA engineer was.
Right.
So we do quality assurance, making sure the product is great for the customer. It's fully functional, and trying to just any problems we have to like foresee any problems that could happen. So on a daily basis, I'm just trying to break the system. I'm trying to break the code. So it won't happen to a customer. And so I'm using coding skills to do that. I'm using analytics. Have to have a detail oriented mindset, because literally sometimes I have like 3 monitors open, a notebook, a notepad, because I'm doing all these things at one time. So you have to multitask. You got to be organized.
That's
because
right.
it's easy to, if you're trying to get something to break or to work, and you get distracted, you're not organized, and I'm using so many different softwares as well to do my job. So I love it because I'm gaining a whole bunch of skills. Like I was just saying, when I came into the job, I didn't have like this whole blueprint of what to do. For a month, they gave me time to literally just, this is what we do. Have fun, figure it out, So, but I had fun doing that. I love research.
Right.
And so it was fun, just like, okay, let's see how this connects to this, and this goes, but we work on such a small aspect, but it is good to know the other systems, because once my team interacts with another team, or about 3 or 4 other teams, so just basically breaking the code, making sure when it goes into production that it works. And a lot of documentation. I have to document everything that I do.
Okay. And do you all do any so I'm in my job, I'm doing a course, and it's basically in acquisitions management, because in my job we do a lot of that pertains to like the acquisition process that pertains to ships and everything. And I'm finishing up a course in risk management. So do you do anything with like risk, like looking at anything with certain like risk matrices, or like looking at okay, if this is to occur, like anything with like likelihood or like probability, or like risk opportunity, stuff like that?
I'm going to say not necessarily that we do a course on it.
I mean, does it come up in your job at all? That's what I really meant.
Yeah.
Like the concept of like managing risk
so
and everything.
We basically, like I said, we have to kind of foresee those kind of things. And so when we find certain things that could occur or happen while we were testing, we have to create a documentation to send out to the team. Like, so this is what happened because of this. So then we take that and we send it back to the developers, send it back to the TAs, and, to prevent. So I guess kind of, we don't get a lot of how-tos there, because your job is to figure it out.
Right.
Okay.
And then what type of other teams do you all like interface with and within your job when you do certain projects?
So I do IT service activation. Under that umbrella is provisioning service, and under that is order submission and routing, and then me, ProVAD, which is provisioning services, deciding where everything goes. So I work directly with the provisioning services team. We have different billing teams. So we have a third-party biller, and we have our own billing team. So we work with them. Network, we have a network adapters team. So this is like set-top boxes that you get in your home and stuff like that. We're working with that team to make sure we are working together to make sure everything syncs up together. Those are the teams that I can think of right off the top.
Okay.
But yeah, that's typically who we work with on a regular.
Okay. Cool. Tariq?
Yes, this is I like this episode because we're talking with someone that we've had the chance to work with these last few years. And we know what she's good at and what she's capable of.
Right.
You talked about skills. Now this may make me sound like an old head. Please please don't pay that no mind.
The way you said old head makes you sound like an old head.
I was watching that movie about the Temptations, you know, the town group.
Right.
And, you know, my mother, she played that around the house all the time, so I'm so used to hearing the music. But one of the things that Barry Gordy did in the movie was quality, he did like a quality session where he would have people, executives and stuff, vote on if a record was going to be successful or not. You talked about skills early on as you were explaining what you do at your job. How important is it to bring certain skills over to something else? Like, say, for example, you're doing the telecommunications work. How important is it to bring skills from that onto TechQueen, or to doing something for the nation, or and so forth?
Wow, that's a really great question. It's very important when you're in any kind of setting. I'm going to say where you're learning, don't take for granted like what you're doing. Like, oh, this is not important. You know, this doesn't matter. You know, whatever skills that you're getting in your job role or school role, if you just go take a course, like Brother Jabril said, he's taking a course right now. It's very important to retain those skills, because a lot of the skills that I had coming into this position was in other roles, indirectly, directly. Like, I worked in the financial industry. You definitely have to be detail oriented in that kind of industry. I've worked with, I had a QA role before. Well, it actually was an internship. So I did that as well. So those skills were brought over to the position. So that is very important in any kind of role that you're doing, any kind of course that you're taking, to, keep those skills.
Nice. And one of the skills that you have is coding, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So we had a guest on our show, and Jabril, and you may remember this, but correct me if I'm wrong. We had a guest on the show, I think it was about 4 or 5 months ago, and she talked about how there are too many companies or organizations for coding. And you remember? Yeah. And I disagree with it inside. I didn't really say anything on the show, but she said that there are too many organizations and companies that teach children or young people how to code, and that there are not enough other programs and initiatives for the other areas of science. What are your thoughts on that?
I actually agree. Well, first I'm gonna say it depends on where you stay, because I guess maybe we should look more into implementing those kind of programs into people that don't have access to it. I was mentoring with a company called Co-Crew, and we would go into the communities where they don't have access to computers and things of the nature. And going into those kind of areas, I think that's good to still have coding classes, because like in my role as a QA engineer, I still have to have some coding experience as well. But at the same time, going back into exposing people to other areas of science, we should have like more, circuit classes and robotics, engineering, because engineering is different from like technology, and you have different kind of engineering as well. So teaching students, how to do schematics and stuff like that, I do think there should be more of those kind of programs implemented. And again, that comes from professionals being willing to expose people to the other areas of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, because they don't know. So it has to be an initiative for them to want to do it.
Well, let me ask you this: why are there so many coding programs?
I think it is because, again, it goes back to what you were saying about everyone has a misconception that it's just technology is just STEM is just technology. I think, and it's also like a trend.
Yes.
almost as well, to have girls who code this, we want to, because it's like it's more attractive right now because everybody's talking about coding, so I think that's why.
If I may add, you mentioned something key, and I forget what I think it was like Miss Taki, it was like Taki, something like that, Takesha something, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting her name, but I think what she spoke to more, I think, than simply the coding itself is the manner in which it's taught.
Yeah.
And I think she mentioned something about gamification, like how it's like play with the robot, it's like more like playtime versus hard skills and skills setting and things like that. So that's not what I meant. Not skill setting. The hard teaching of skills.
Right.
So it's like, all right, we're gonna come and play with the robots for a minute. We're gonna do an Arduino this, or like do a thing or whatever. But we're not really instilling things in which they can build up off of. And I think that's where she got to all this thing with coding, but where are the other types of programs, And I think to that point, I think not so much an age thing, but we should look closer to how we introduce children to STEM. Like I am a pro believer in there being a gamification aspect to things, but I think too much STEM is like looked at as just like, being fun. Oh, let's play with this, let's play with that, versus let's really learn this. But then sometimes too, a lot of people learn from play. But it's like a fine line, and then the way you balance that, I think, really determines, the impact that your programming has on, the person entails. And then I think furthermore, I had another question. Terrika, what is your concept or what is your thought process when you think about STEM versus STEAM?
Oh yeah, like that.
Okay, so I was, introduced to STEAM maybe 6 months ago, and that's the adding art
right
to the STEM umbrella. It took me a minute to grasp it at first, but I can see why someone would add it because you have graphic design.
Yeah.
It's an aspect of technology, people, logos, flyers, those kind of artsy things. So I was like, maybe that's what is meant when they say add the art part to it. And I do think being creative is something that will help you in those other areas as well.
Absolutely.
You definitely have to have some creativity. So I'm still trying to grasp it, but I get it,
Okay.
So yeah.
I like to think about it. I don't know if it was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or the minister who said that those who would grasp the teaching best will be those in both medicine and in music.
It was medicine, music, and color.
Okay, medicine, music, and color. So I think about the music comment. I think about it in terms of the arts. And I think a lot of times, depending on who you ask, some of those things that we consider sciences, people think are arts. Like when someone says, cooking, the minister refers to people who cook as scientists. But then there's other people who say cooking is an art form. So there's a science to the martial arts, but there also are art forms in the martial arts. So I think that, again, I think where the line gets,
I can't see your head, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think where the line gets blurred, and we have to really, as those in STEM and or STEAM, we have to really, I think, toe that line. I think when it gets to like the play or the practices that don't yield results, so like things that are just for the sole, like, outcome of this was fun, If you don't, if you aren't getting something tangible out of it other than I had a good time, I think that's where this STEAM pushback comes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion, because as one who's been a dancer for a number of years, who has a creative streak to him, loves English, poetry, all that stuff, I see the value, you know. They also talk about, you know, if you're good at the violin or certain instruments, you'll be good at math. There's a correlation. So I see all that. But then how do we tailor it so that we're keeping that at the forefront of our mind, and not just like, oh, we're just putting art in here just for the sake of we put art in here, you know? So
definitely. Yes, sir. And, you know, the STEAM part is exactly what I thought Sister Terrika said in terms of the graphic design and different things like that. And a lot of times when someone is saying cooking, or people that cook are scientists, that's correct, because there's a name for cooking. There's a scientific name for cooking and the study of that food. You know, and the same thing goes with martial arts. You can break that down to a scientific term. You know, so I think that if we understand that science means to know, and that whenever we acquire knowledge that's doing science, I think it will kind of broaden even beyond art, beyond the scope of what STEM stands for, and just make it a little bigger than you know, than what's conceived.
I want to just add one thing when you were talking about there's science behind cooking. For me, I think it gets into when you're thinking about when you're not just cooking for like pleasure, but you're cooking for your health and your family's health. I think that's where the science aspects comes into cooking, because you're eating to live, you know, as we are taught. And I think that's where the science part comes in. Like, I'm cooking this, and how would this affect me? How would it affect you the next day? It's going to energize you, or you're going to be feeling sick, you know, things of that nature. I think that's where the science aspect comes from cooking, because in this world we have got so caught up with eating for pleasure that that's like fuel for us. Food is supposed to be fueling us, not just for pleasure, you know. So that I think that's where the science aspect comes from cooking.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. MGT class. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Everybody get you one.
That's right.
Because I got mine. Oh, man. Oh, that's an awesome segue. So I had to mention this because you mentioned TechQueen, goals and aspirations. And as we all know, you're recently married and everything. And one thing about partnerships of any kind is that one of the goals is to help one's helpmeet or one's partner reach and achieve their goals. So I guess, you know, being one who has married an FOI, one who's constantly training to condition himself to meet and overcome all obstacles, how has my big brother, and how has that, well, I'm not going to ask about him specifically, but how has that union assisted you in your goals and aspirations and you all's collective goals and aspirations moving forward?
Wow. That's a really good question. So how I even got introduced to OMS is through the courtship mates.
Oh, wow.
He saw it. He was like, I can't do it, but I know someone who can. And, you know, that was just the first step to my husband pushing me to do whatever was in this head of mine. He is always just, when I was stressing out in school and I'm like, I don't know what to do, and me start a business, you know what? He has always, you know, been that constant support and just telling me, you can do it. It's in you. You know, you have to, don't be afraid. You know, people are going to be people at the end of the day, but, you know, God has put something inside you, and he just has served as a constant reminder for me. A reminder is a blessing. And so he's definitely been a blessing in that area. And then just also, I'm going to say, when there's things that I do need to do, being understanding you know, when I may not be able to, or and then, you know, on his end, me on being that support for him too, while you need to read this or study this or take this call for your organization, so not being overburdening with each other, letting him or him letting me, and also studying together, studying our study guides and learning that we can master anything that we put our mind to. So also growing each other spiritually as well, and also our health, you know, pushing each other to work out. You're not supposed to eat that, you know, so in all kinds of ways,
right.
you know, marriage has been, I'm thankful, you know, I'm thankful for my husband, and we definitely both help each other in all kinds of areas. We always remind each other that we have goals, and we're going to achieve them. And, you know, I'm not gonna say our motto, but we don't love like too much idleness, because there's too much to achieve.
Yes.
So being that
like
constant
that
reminder, you know, so, you know, we'll of course spend time, enjoy yourself, because you know, you have to release sometimes, but, you know, getting back to it, working hard, and just reminding each other. Yep.
That you're not supposed to eat that thing is real. That is real.
Oh yeah. So I had a struggle. Like I love chips.
Who you, bro?
I love,
bro.
like I'm good on the cakes. I'm good on the sweet. You know, that's a lot of people struggle, but me, chips. I have no idea. And every single time, you don't need those. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so, and I can't be sitting here and trying to get him to eat healthy, and I'm like, you know, munching on chips or whatever. I don't know. During college, it got me through. Like, I'm like, I don't got time to go get some eat, so I'm about to give me some chips. And I survived off chips. So, you know, but that's just one little thing that it's a joke. Like my sister-in-law all the time just be like, don't listen to him. And I'm just like, no, I gotta listen, because I'm cooking and I'm cooking these things. So, because I want him to eat better and help him reach his goals. So, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You know, you know just how much of an FOI or an MGT you marry when they do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't do that.
Shows love. The minister said that, like, when she's cooking, not just cooking, but the science behind cooking, making sure this is going to fuel you for the next day. You know, that's a show of love, definitely.
Right. Correction is a great form of love. You know, and I've been married almost 3 years, and I can say that as a man, your wife, like as a man, you're gonna get corrected a lot, because she's her duty is to help you to be the man that you want to be, and the man that Allah wants you to be.
Yes.
That mutual making sure you good, or keeping an eye on what you eat and stuff like that, it's a must, because without that second self being there for you, you know, it's just gonna open the door for a lot of problems. So I definitely encourage anybody, if you are ready.
If you're ready.
If you're ready.
You heard that?
The operative word. If you are ready. If you are ready.
That's right.
And just for the record, I'm not the only one that whole correcting you started before marriage, right? Because that I was like, God damn, like, it was
that before me.
Yeah, it's a beautiful experience, a beautiful struggle. So yeah.
Praise be to Allah.
Awesome. Jabril, you had another question, or you good?
No, bro, I had like another realization. I was like, dang, everybody on the call about to be at my wedding though.
Yeah,
I was about to have fun.
Right.
I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm so happy for y'all.
Oh, praise be to Allah. I'm so happy. I was like, dang, it's like a month away.
Yeah.
Yep, 4 weeks tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Yay.
4 weeks tomorrow. But anyway, Tariq, I'm sorry, back to you, sir. I'm all taking us off topic.
All right, it's all good. It's all good. My question is, well, let me put it this way. There's no one that is successful or that is currently living out their dream that has not had someone to look up to,
right?
Someone to look at as, wow, that I want to not so much be like that person, but I like how they carry themselves and I like what they do in their careers, and I want to do the same. Is there anybody that, or a group of people that you can say have mentored you or been inspirational to you so far?
I've pulled from different people. Just to name a few, I had an instructor at Lemoyne College. Her name was Denise Fairby. She was a associate professor, but she inspired me because she helped to build the cyber area of I'm not gonna say the company, but she built it. Then got out the corporate world and started teaching. And she just was an inspiration for me because she put herself through undergrad, her master's, and her PhD with no debt at all whatsoever. She put herself, she was doing for self in school, I think she was doing websites and paid for school and stayed at home, so she was an inspiration. My co-crew founder, Mecca Iwekwe, he was an inspiration for me because he was a co-founder. Actually, it was Peta and then Audrey. They founded it, co-crew, partnered with the Memphis Grizzlies, the NBA team, and went into the communities and, got co-crew enough. Of course, my parents, they're definitely inspiration. Minister Farrakhan, because
absolutely,
he's always the things that I have been exposed to,
right.
When he's telling us to study, like that is a serious thing to study because you will learn so much. The minister is definitely my biggest inspiration because he keeps us on our P's and Q's. He's always tweeting, always teaching us something, and he gives us like a framework for us to just go learn more. Like he tells us, but then it's your job to go do some more figuring out, do some research. So definitely have started my inspiration and a constant reminder as well to just, keep it pushing. Those are some of the people that I can think of off the top of my head. And I'm always, it's this one page on Instagram I follow, Women in Tech. And they feature a woman every weekday that's doing something in the STEM area. And so I pull, because you can learn something from everybody. So I'm gonna stop in with those.
Awesome. Now you spoke a little bit about your parents. What are some of the things they did, growing up to nurture your love for science?
Oh wow.
You mentioned your dad was key in terms of what you decided to study in college. But before then, like leading up to college and now, what are some of the things that they did? My
dad was all about having a mission statement. Every family, he says, should have a mission statement. And some of the things, I know this may seem small, but we had family dinner every day where we would talk about goals and where we should be as a family and, leaving a legacy. That definitely resonated with me. And I do want the same for my family because those kind of things were just helping me, motivating me, coming home and getting that talk from your parents. That was definitely something that I got growing up that helped me. And also being in different camps, letting me go instead of, just letting me be in the summer, go to the camp, half a day, learn this, get involved. Definitely one thing was getting involved in the mosque. Right. Because that's what started it, So buying me different books to get into that exposed me to different things. Because I read all kinds of books, but getting me the books and just keeping us, letting us have fun, but keeping us focused as well.
That family dinner thing is key. You know, it's funny because that's no small thing. Because me and my family talk a lot about, you know, we don't know how many families really do that anymore. And because it's like you'll hear people talk about, and parents are like, yeah, I don't know what she did the other day. Like, and it's like weird. Like, how you don't know what your child did the other day? Like, at all. Like, you know, and it's like, you know, it may be an archaic thing to some people, but it's like, not only did my family know what it is, we all knew. We would sit down and every day we went over what you do today. How was your day? What you do in school? What you learned?
They
how
still
are
do with
things
my
looking?
brothers.
How was basketball practice? How was violin practice? How was this? How was that? You know, oh, I heard you said you were struggling in this. How's that going now? Like all aspects of how was post at the mosque today? What did you, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, it's always been something in my life that's been a very big proponent of my success. And I think that incubator, that washing machine, that agitation when you're getting clean and you're being really deprogrammed and reprogrammed from the outside world is so key because you know people always think that, oh, I'm gonna just let them grow, you know what I'm saying? But like if you're not instilling something or someone is, so rather than have to just try to start from scratch, you should have some type of foundation there, you know what I'm saying? So you know that those morals, values, those things you hold there, whether that child is going to abide by them or not, you did a job where though this is universally known as correct or universally known as something that works or as a principle, you know? So that's very key, and I'm glad you mentioned that. And
yes, definitely. It's that open line of communication, because like you just said, you need to know what's going on in your child's life, and usually they want to tell you, but when you don't have that environment and that time, and they're so busy and leave me alone, you know, that eventually affects the child. Like you said, they're going to get it from someone else, you know. So that was very important for me, and I definitely want to implement it, you know, in my family.
Crazy. Wow.
Well, this has definitely been a great show. We're coming towards the conclusion of the show, and one of the things I just want to add to that, my mother, she said something and it stuck with me to this very day. She said that she didn't want us going back out into the world thinking that what we learned in the world was okay. Because there are so many things in the world that are, matter of fact, the world itself is against the way of God. So she didn't want us going to sleep with that on our minds. So she would gather us up together, do whatever she could to, like you say, debrief and break down whatever it is that we think was correct or learned, so that we didn't take it on for the rest of our lives. So I definitely thank her for that. Shout out to all the parents out there, especially, you know, the Muslim parents, because I'm telling you, there is nothing harder than raising a child in this kind of world.
That's right.
I definitely commend them, and some of our Christian family as well, because there's some of them that are trying to raise
those family values, those morals.
Exactly, and making sure that their children are good and their families. So
anybody striving to live a righteous life or a principled life, whether you claim a God or not, it is hard to raise a family where you try to hold any type of principles or values. You know, and you're gonna be tried like so many different ways, and that's why I think our teaching is so powerful, because we're given a universal series of tenets where we're able to relate to and interact with people of all, like you said, walks of life, and get friends in all those walks of life. So, you know, we try not, and we don't make any distinctions, and we hold any who struggle to live a life of meaning, a life of value, a life of morals in high regard. So, yes, all of the families out there, all the parents, all the people just struggling and fighting the good fight, definitely salute y'all.
Well, yeah, family. So, like I was saying before, this is the end of the show. Just coming from what the show is about, Rise of the Tech Queen. What are some of how can potential clients or customers find you and find more information about TechQueen?
Okay. The best way, you can go on Instagram. Find me on Instagram is TECHQUEEN _, just one underscore. You can find me that way, or you can send an email, techqueen098@gmail.com. That is the best way.
You said that one more time for the audience?
Yes. Instagram, TECHQUEEN _, and then the email, TECHQUEEN098 @gmail.com.
Awesome, awesome.
Yep, that's how you contact me.
Cool, cool. Jabril, is there anything you'd like to add real quick?
Of course, bro. You know how we got to do it at the end of the show. This has been another cracking open of the STEM Files. We are your co-hosts, Magna Cardiac and Jabril Engineer. It's been our illustrious guest. This is the Terrika Muhammad, aka the Tech Queen over Tech Queen. You can follow us at Original Man Scientific. This is all three of us, actually, and more. Again, at OMANSci _. That's for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's OMANSCI _ for all social media. Again, this has been a blast. You know, it's always a pleasure to kick it with the fam and just kind of talk about goals and aspirations, what we want to do, what we plan to do in the future. And for more information for Original Man Scientific, Tariq, you want to tell them how they can get in touch with Original Man?
Absolutely. One way you can do it is visit our website at www.omansci, that's OMANSCI.com. Once again, that's OMANSCI.com. You can also email us at information at omansci.com. Once again, it's information at omansci.com. Also, our next guest is tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. His name is Craig Eckhart. He is an architect of about 30 years. He's the founder of Black Architects in the Making, based in Miami, Florida. So be sure to tune in tomorrow at the same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
All right, family.
So I just want to say thank you guys for inviting me on to the show. I had a great time. Absolutely. So it's always a pleasure. And yeah, just wanted to add that.
Oh, thank you so man. Much. We definitely hope to have you on the show again in the near future. Jabril, any last words?
No, sir. I think we all said a wonderful piece. Like I said, we're always happy to be here. Till tomorrow with Mr. Eckhart and architecture.
Now, Jabril, if you need a day, I know you've been traveling. If you need a day, bro, just let me know.
I'll let you know. But one thing about this show, bro, you know me, it's like the energy come with it. So I'll let you know. But it's hard for me to let go, Yeah,
I feel. All right, fam. Well, this has been another cracking. Well, I'm gonna let my co-host do that because he does this better than I.
All right. It's been another cracking open of the STEM Files. We do it best, the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, sometimes art and mathematics. So we had that STEM combination. We've been your co-hosts again. Until tomorrow, peace and blessings, family.
Peace and blessings, family. Thank you for watching.